Hey team, you're watching Hide and Sneakz, and this is the final part of the 2025 Sneaker Awards, and these are our big categories. If you haven't seen our first three parts, I covered off the top color shoes of the year, the top performance shoes of the year, and the Jordan 1 through 14 retro lineup. But today we're doing the big categories. Think shoe of the year, Jordan of the year, Nike of the year. Actually, let's not get too much into spoilers. Instead, let's get into our first category. Starting off with our main awards, and our first category is what was the Air Force 1 of the year. Now the Air Force 1 is an absolute sneakerhead staple, all white, blacked out, collaborative pairs. There's so many good releases and it's so good to have these in your collection. And in 2025 we had some awesome releases that I was really excited to go for and chase myself. So without further delay, let me tell you my 4 nominations for this category. The Kobe Air Force 1 in the Forever White colorway, bringing a subtle hit to an all-white shoe by adding that snakeskin detail. The Air Force 1 collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway, that vintage patent leather treatment really creating an eye-popping pair. The Air Force 1 Low Elevate in the Metalwork colorway, great storytelling and a nod to a more mechanical metal exterior. And the Air Force 1 collaboration with FC Barcelona and Kobe Bryant on the Persian Violet colorway. Great material upper, bringing in the snakeskin, protro treatment to make it even more wearable, and some really cool color hues. As you can see, there were some fantastic nominations for 2025, and 3 of the 4 collaboration pairs, which means Nike's doing a fantastic job at working with good talent. Of course, there can only be 1 winner and 1 runner-up, so with that in mind, my runner-up pair is the Nike Air Force Low collaboration with Kobe Forever White colorway. Look, I think it's really hard to do justice to a white pair. The Kobe line has done some fantastic stuff in honoring his memory with the Halo Legacy line. This particular colorway though takes a really classic staple in our collection in Air Force 1 Low and applies a holographic snakeskin print to the top. So I think it's a really good job that Nike has done on this pair. And it would have been my top pick pair for a collaboration if it wasn't for the collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway. Now everyone has a reason as to why they became a sneakerhead, and part of mine is because I've always loved to play basketball, but another part was I watched a documentary on MTV about skateboarders wearing their crazy pairs like Nike SBs and Air Forces, and how they had such crazy colors with patent leather. So it's kind of like a retro vintage thing for me that I really like, that's been captured in this pair that I don't think we see too often on Air Force 1s. So I would encourage that to be brought up more, and that's why it is my Air Force 1 Sneaker of the Year. Moving on to our next category in the main awards. Now it's no surprise I'm a big fan of this particular model. Both one of my good friends John and my dad, we all collect these pairs. And to be honest, it's so great that Nike is releasing more of these. It was quite a Foamposite drought for a while, so to see this released on a regular schedule is amazing. So let's get into the nominees and see what they are. The Foamposite 1 in the Cough Drop colorway, bringing a retro back with a clean, wearable and menacing look. The Foamposite 1 in the Psychic Blue colorway, University Blue, done right on a super wearable pair. The Foamposite 1 in the Triple White colorway, the best all-white Foamposite yet, giving every white touch and detail we've ever wanted. And the Foamposite Pro in the Pine Green colorway, making its long-awaited return. Great to have a Foamposite Pro back in rotation. Right, some fantastic nominations there for the Foamposite of the Year, and as we know, there can only be a runner-up and 1 winner. And my runner-up is actually a Foamposite Pro. It is the Foamposite Pro in the Pine Green colorway. Look, I love the Foamposite in general, but I think it's really cool when they mix things up and throw the Foamposite Pro out. First of all, that pine green metallic is a really unique color scheme. We don't see in a lot of pairs, so that's really awesome. But it is also great to see other models release. I think we all love the swoosh on a lot of Jordans when they had it on the heel tab. So for some people, my dad is one of them, the Foamposite Pro is actually his preferred over the Foamposite because of the addition of the Nike swoosh. And in such a great color, I think it is a fantastic pair. And it would have been my Foamposite of the Year had it not been for this pair here. I just love the red, I love the dark greys and blacks on it. It's a cool pair, it's menacing. It is our Foamposite Sneaker of the Year, the Cough Drop. Such a fantastic drop and does everything right about a good Foamposite. It's got a good base color, it's wearable, but it's also very loud with a subtle outsole. So great pickup if you get your hands on it, and I think it is a fantastic addition as our Foamposite of the year. Moving on to our next category, and with lows being so much more popular now, I think it was fitting to create a low of the year category. Now, I've talked about some of these pairs in some other categories, so it shouldn't be a surprise, but it's going to be a very competitive category because we've got some who've already won in past videos. So without further ado, let's go to our nominees. The Air Force 1 Low collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway, our Air Force of the 1 winner, so a very tough nominee. The Air Jordan 1 Low Rookie of the Year, our runner-up for Tan Sneaker of the Year. The Air Jordan 1 Low OG Chicago, another nominee in our Jordan 1 of the Year and Red Sneaker of the Year. And the Jordan 1 Low collaboration with Zion Williams on the Voodoo Alternate colorway, a nominee for both Blue Sneaker of the Year and Jordan 1 of the Year. So as you can see, some heavy hitters. All of these pairs have been either nominees or winners in some of our past categories, and let's see if they can take away another spot. My runner-up for Low of the Year is the Jordan 1 Chicago Low. Look, there's just so much to like about doing such a good classic pair right. I know it's not super game-changing, but it's been done proper, and that's what a sneakerheads need and deserve. And it would have been the first pair had it not been for such a heavy-hitting pair. I think there's so much going well with this. It's read the room really well on how to create a good collaboration pair and excitement about a low pair. I am, of course, talking about the Low Sneaker of the Year winner, the Jordan 1 Low collaboration with Zion Williamson. Such a fantastic pair. Obviously made a very strong showing in our awards this year. I hope they do some more Voodoo pairs because this one is awesome. Moving into our next category, and it might be a bit of an acquired taste because some people don't like mids, but let's see what is the mid of the year. Now the thing about mids, I think, is a lot of the time they can be color blocking that's possibly not necessarily super wearable, or as color schemes would probably more see often on grade school sizing. That's not to say having mids aren't great. There are some fantastic great mid colorways, and you're going to see that soon in our nominees. The Jordan 1 Mid Special Edition Black Metallic Reimagined, released around the time of the Jordan 5 Metallic, taking notes from the Jordan 5 and applying it to this Jordan 1 Mid here. The Jordan 1 Mid Special Edition Cheeseburger, storytelling that's gone completely crazy and applied cheeseburger to the upper of the shoe. The Jordan 1 Mid SE New Love, a pack from the past brought out and done fantastic justice in 2025. And the Jordan 1 Mid Indigo Haze Dark Blue, a fantastic colour scheme that deserves to be on high with better material treatment. Well, those are our nominees, and as you can see, 3 of them were special editions, which is always great because there's a bit more creativity and material and design applied to those pairs. However, there can only be 1 winner and 1 runner-up. With that in mind, our runner-up is actually the only non-collaborative pair, the Jordan 1 Indigo Haze Dark Blue. Look, this shoe does some heavy hitting, and it shows you can still have great color blocking on a Jordan 1 Mid. As I said, if this was applied to a high treatment, I think so many people would have been chasing it. It just needs a little bit better materials. The overall contrast on the shoe between the swoosh and the darker color and the lighter panels, it just looks super wearable, super clean, and you could probably wear it with absolutely anything. So it's great to see that Jordan Brand released this, because I do think there's unnecessary hate sometimes towards the mids, and this shows you can have a great mid colorway. And that would have been my top pick had it not been for this release here. Jordan Brand sometimes does this, especially on their Jordan 1 lows and mids, and I think it's so awesome that they release a colorway inspired by another pair and release that at the same time as that big drop. Now we know that the Jordan 5 Black Metallic was huge this year, so to see it drop on a mid is absolutely awesome, because we just don't get many predominantly black Jordan 1s in general, and they did such a good treatment on this year. That's right, your mid sneaker of the year for 2025 is the Jordan 1 Mid Special Edition Black Metallic. Up next we have our next category, and if the last two was the low and mid sneaker of the year, it probably shouldn't come as a surprise that the high sneaker of the year is the next category. Now there's already some heavy hitters, you would have seen some of these pairs in my other videos, but let's move into our nominees. The Jordan 1 High 85 in the band colorway, an incredibly sought after release and one of the classics when it comes to a high pair. The Jordan 1 collaboration with Union LA on their third release on the Chicago Shadows, a fantastic collaboration and a great sequel to the first two pairs. The Jordan 12 Mellow, an unexpected and clean take on the Jordan 12, coming back after a very long awaited retro in adult sizes. And the Jordan 5 Tokyo, one of the most hyped sneaker vault pulls that we saw this year and didn't expect. But those are our nominees for High Sneaker of the Year, and as you can see, these are some grails that are being presented. However, we can only have a runner-up and one winner, and our runner-up for the High Sneaker of the Year is the Jordan 5 Tokyo. What a fantastic pair. It's been a year of the Jordan 5, but this Jordan 5 has outperformed every one of them. This is a fantastic pull from the sneaker vault. It's an absolute grail, and that's what you want with a high pair of sneakers, something that you really can rock and make a statement in, and everyone wants to get. And that would have been my pick for High Sneaker of the Year if it hadn't been for an even more chased after and more desirable pair for sneakerheads, the Jordan 1 85 Red. I know it's not an exciting pick, but when we think about highs, Jordan 1 is the one that comes to mind, and when we think of the best treatment of the Jordan 1, it is the Jordan 1 High in the 85 cut. Of course, we love our OG retro colorways, but this one being so hyped and so demanded with decent materials, you just can't ignore the fact that this was a fantastic high sneaker release and is very fitting of our 2025 High Sneaker of the Year. Moving on to our next category and moving a bit away from retros, we've got to recognize and talk about the pairs that are new colorways, new treatments to popular models that people get excited about. Now the interesting thing here is a lot of the nominees I have might in some cases be seen as underrated or even considered bricks, but I know we're going to look back on these pairs and think, wow, we were spoiled in 2025 and now those prices and the desirability of those shoes is through the roof in a couple of years' time. So with that in mind, here are your 4 nominees for New Colorway of the Year. The Jordan 3 Rare Air, fantastic treatment, switching things out, making us not reliant on the typical Jordan 3 mold. Jordan 3 El Vuelo, capturing Mexican heritage and Mexican wrestling with some fantastic treatment to the upper that makes it feel like a custom shoe. The Jordan 4 Cave Stone, a brown and black Jordan 4 done with such perfection that it should be a collaboration pair. And the Jordan 11 Rare Air, capturing all the good and spirit of an OG retro as well as an unreleased sample. Well, as you can see, I rate all of these pairs really highly, but of course there can only be 2. My runner-up for New Colorway of the Year is the Jordan 11 Rare Air. Now this shoe is incredible. Not only does it have great storytelling being a nod to an unreleased sample, but it also just looks so good in context of other Jordan 11 lineups. This in itself could be a retro. It's almost like it's a take on the French Blues, but in an 11 format. It's got great use of having an upper leather rather than ballistic mesh. It's got a nice dark deep royal blue in the patent leather, and then the Jordan on the eyelets just looks really great. So for me, I think this is an absolute slept on pair and is a great take on what is possibly quite a hard bottle to do fresh stuff with. And it would have been my top pick for New Colorway of the Year if it wasn't for the Jordan 3 El Vuelo. Such great storytelling, not in any way limited by the overall silhouette of the Jordan 3. This feels like a customized shoe, and that is something that creates enormous excitement and enormous desirability. So for me, super fitting as being the New Colorway of the Year, and I hope this type of design is applied to other pairs in the future. Moving on to our next category, and it's the Theme of the Year sneaker. Now it's quite a big thing when I talk about why I like a sneaker, that I love the storytelling and I love the theming of it. So to capture this in a pair, I felt deserved to need to be recognized in an award. So let's find out who our nominees are for Theme Sneaker of the Year. The Jordan 3 El Vuelo, unsurprisingly, great storytelling captured on a great pair. The Jordan 1 Mid Cheeseburger, it might be a mid, but it's done some fantastic work at bringing its theme to life on an upper. The AE1 Year of a Snake, a fantastic execution in doing something a little bit more fresh than typically using the snakeskin upper to capture that nod. And the Jordan 4 Brick by Brick, a fantastic execution of great design and materials to overall show the roots of Nigel Sylvester's upbringing as a rider. Well, as you can see, the nominations have such a variety of theming. Everything from athletes' origins, recognition of a country and sport, of food, and even zodiac signs. But of course, there can only be one runner-up and one winner, and this might be a shock considering how much I just spoke about it being such an amazingly themed sneaker. But our runner-up is actually going to be the Jordan 3 El Vuelo. I think it's fantastic what they've done here in the nod to the luchador mask and the overall nods of winning and that gold accent. The competitive spirit is fantastic on that pair. And the Jordan 3 El Vuelo would have been my pick for the themed sneaker of the year, but I've got to recognize a different pair as my winner, and that is the Jordan 4 Brick by Brick. There is so much going well with this pair. There's storytelling and nods to Nigel Sylvester and his upbringing on biking around, learning how to be a BMX rider, and it's part of his legacy story. There's the nods to the textures and the brickwork, the color scheme, all where he had at his riding playground. But the coolest part is it didn't just stop on the sneaker, it carried through to the shoe. The shoe itself was packed up like bricks, wrapped up and bound. I think that's such a cool nod. So to me, it's such a fitting winner of the themed sneaker of the year because it carries that theming right throughout the pair and doesn't stop at the box. So fantastic pair, and great to see the Jordan 4 on here because I know a lot of people love this pair and it hasn't made a showing yet as a winner. So finally, the Jordan 4 Brick by Brick is taking a trophy home. And moving on to my next big category, for sneakerheads who follow and love shoes throughout the whole year, this will be quite an interesting one because it is my pick for the surprise of the year. Now I know I've been trying to limit myself to 4 nominees, but for this category, I'm going to stick with 5 because I think there was 5 really big shake-ups and surprises in the sneakerhead culture. So let's go and look at our nominees. The Air Jordan 1 High 85 OG Bread release, all the marketing and hype behind it, and then the sudden shock that it was a super limited drop that wasn't getting a major restock. The Jordan 4 Retro SB in the Varsity Red colorway being teased for months, and then to find out it's only a friends and families pair. The Air Jordan 5 Black Metallic Reimagined, a great OG retro that was releasing that none of us expected to fetch such crazy resale prices and become so unobtainable. The Jordan 5 Tokyo, a shock surprise that a pair that was a regional exclusive and deep in the sneaker vault could be pulled out and retro in 2025. And the Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard, demand we thought was going to be enormous based on the prices of the original pair, once it retroed becoming way more accessible and in some sizes actually going for under retail. Those are some pretty big surprises this year, and I myself have caught out on pretty much all of them. So for me, it's going to be quite hard to pick a winner and a runner-up. So I'm basing this on personal experience. So I'm going to say the runner-up to surprise of the year is for me going to be the Jordan 1 85 Red release. This was so huge. There was so much marketing put behind this pair. I thought it was going to be a great GR release. I still knew being an 85 cut and a version of the breads that it was going to be a very hard pair to get, but I didn't realize it was going to be such a limited release. I'm surprised they put so much investment in creating hype around this pair to then make it such a restricted pair. There's been so much change in the views of the Jordan 1s at the moment, so for this to be such a big drop and not accessible was a real surprise to me, and I actually thought I was guaranteed to get this pair when I saw it being teased last year. So for me, that was a huge surprise, but not the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise for me was actually the Jordan 1 Shattered Backboards not being so chased and thought after. Look, I know there's been a bit of change in how people have gone for their love for the Jordan 1s. That hype has dropped back a couple of years. It goes in swings and roundabouts, and it will pick back up, no doubt, in the future. But I thought this pair was going to be a huge exception, and for me, it wasn't. So I'm so surprised that the Shattered Backboard has become largely a really accessible pair. So for me, that is very fitting of surprise of the year, and it showed to me that when a hyped grey or retros, you have no idea in the current sneaker market how that's going to perform. Moving on to my next category, and I just talked about the surprise of how you don't know how retros are going to perform, but we do need to recognize the retros of the year, because in 2025 we had an incredible lineup. There were so many models such as the 5s or the 12s, where we got almost all of the retros in the same year that you would typically want. So as you can imagine, it's going to be a pretty tight category, and in that case, I've actually put through 5 nominations for this one. The nominees for retros of the year are the Jordan 5 Black Metallic, a pair that really outperformed its pace and did a fantastic job at being a hyped model this year. The Jordan 4 White Cement, one of the heavy hitters and one of the cleanest white shoes you can own. The Jordan 5 Tokyos, an unexpected return that none of us thought that we were going to get. The Jordan 1 85 Bread, the hyped OG retro, finally done in an 85 treatment. And the Nike Foamposite 1 in the Galaxy colorway. one of the shoes that started all the resale craziness. Look at that lineup. The nominees are a Grail lineup. And of course, with a Grail lineup, you've got a very tough decision to make when you work out what the Retro of the Year is. So my runner-up for Retro of the Year is the Jordan 5 Black Metallic Reimagined. It shouldn't come as a surprise that I'm putting the shoe quite highly. It's a retro in itself that we were all chasing because the Black Metallic is one of the cleanest OG retros you can get on the 5. Now 5s don't seem to have the hype that other models like 4s, 3s and 1s have, but you would never have known that in 2025. This pair was so sought after, so chased, and was done really, really well. I'm so glad I got my hands on a pair of this. I think it's a fantastic retro, and it would have been my top retro if it wasn't for this pair here. The Nike Foamposite Galaxy. Look, of all sneakers to retro, I think this one is the most fitting to see as a retro, and it really shows how far we've come as sneakerheads and in that sneaker culture. This shoe was one of the shoes that really kickstarted the hypebeast era. It's fetched crazy prices. I remember reading an article about someone who traded their car for the shoe when it first released. So to see it finally retro, being pulled out of the vault, yes, it didn't have the same hype, but it's a fantastic example of a retro making its full circle and coming around. And if you've got your hands on a pair, that is fantastic because it is such a loud and such a cool pair from almost like a time capsule era in sneakerhead culture. Up next, our next category is the opposite of an OG retro. It is a fantastic collaboration. In fact, it is the collaboration of the year. And this year, we've had some fantastic names thrown in the ring. Let's go and look at our nominees. The Jordan 1 collaboration with Union LA on the Chicago Shadow colorway. A fantastic pair that had the pressure of living up to the hype of the past two. The Nike Air Force collaboration with FC Barcelona and Kobe Bryant's approach rotate that's loud, great coloured, and also super bold in its presentation. The Jordan 4 collaboration with Nigel Sylvester on the Brick by Brick colorway, great storytelling and the challenge of making one of the best orange-red pairs we've seen. And the Jordan 1 Low collaboration with Zion Williams on the Voodoo colorway, a great mismatch of pairs and bold take on a Jordan 1 Low. Well, again, some fantastic names in this lineup, and again, some pretty familiar pairs. We've seen a lot of these appear in some other categories. Of course, when we talk about collaboration, there's a lot to consider. It's how it's been representative of the storyline, how involved they've been, how it's been marketed. And for me, there is two pairs that stand out as our runner-up and our winner from this list. Our runner-up for collaboration sneaker of the year is the collaboration between Union LA and Jordan 1 on the Chicago Shadow colorway. Look, there's always pressure that comes with expectations. When you've released two amazing collaborations together, there's always going to be the how do you one-up that, how do you match that energy, and how do you do it justice. I think the thing about the first time they released their first two pairs is no one was expecting the collaboration to go that well. The next time they did a version on the Jordan 1 LA, it really bombed. So this one had to capture the DNA of the original release and actually do it better because it had the pressure of also using a Chicago DNA, which has a lot of expectation behind it. I think Union LA and Jordan Brand did a fantastic job in this collaboration. They've captured a lot of what went well about the first two pairs, and I think it's a great addition to now the round out that trio of the mismatched Jordan 1 highs. And that would have been my top pick for collaboration of the year if it hadn't been for Nigel Sylvester. He's done a fantastic job with Jordan Brand. He's invigorated the space on the Jordan 4, and while I hadn't recognized that in terms of other red shoes or Jordan 4 shoes, I will 100% recognize that effort here on collaboration of the year. It is a fantastic shoe and super fitting of being the 2025 winner of the Collaboration of the Year award. Moving into our next category, and we're focusing on the three stripes for this one. That's right. What is the Adidas of the Year award? It's a fantastic competition to Nike and Jordan Brand. They've had some fantastic moments this year in what they've done with their basketball and performance lineups. So let's go and look at our nominees. The Harden Volume 9 in the Glow Blue colorway. Fantastic colors, accenting and using the overall silhouette nicely. It feels like a crashing wave and it's crisp and bold. The AE1 Low Year of the Snake, a shoe I've praised so much for staying away from using traditional scales, instead using an iridescent upper and actually using the silhouette of the shoe to create the effect that the overall pattern is snake scales, makes this a really smart decision. The Harden Volume 9 Hellcat, a shoe that is menacing and striking with a very minimal design. and the AE1 Chrome, a very mechanical, metal looking shoe that looks rigid and ready to battle. As you can see, some fantastic entries and some very familiar shoes. Adidas is doing a fantastic job with basketball, and long may it continue. But I've got to pick a winner and a runner-up. So the runner-up for the Adidas Sneaker of the Year award is the AE1 Low Year of the Snake. This shoe, as I keep praising, has done so many things right. I keep praising the iridescent usage as opposed to using the reptilian paddle, but I must also recognize how great it is that they've used the texture and pattern on the side of the shoe with the overlay of the iridescent pattern to make that look like snakes and scales. So it's a great entry and would have been my top pick had it not been for a bit of a favorite of mine this year, the Harden Volume 9 Hellcat. It shouldn't be a surprise. I think this shoe is incredibly menacing, incredibly tough. It doesn't need to do a lot to make it stand out. Literally, it's got the overall use of the shoe being either dark kind of gunmetal grey, the 3 striped curves being in that sort of bold red accent colour. It looks like claw marks, or it looks both mechanical at the same time. Fantastic design choice, and now the winner of the Adidas Sneaker of the Year. Moving from stripes over to checks, we're now going to look at the Nike Sneaker of the Year. And there have been some fantastic drops this year, and it's great to see some great Nike releases to chase as opposed to just being Jordan. And you're going to see that now as we move into our nominees. The Air Force 1 Low collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway, capturing the vintage parts I love of the patent leather treatment to Air Force 1 in 2025, long may it continue. The Air Max 95 OG Reverse Neon. The neon's such an iconic colorway on the Air Max 95. To see them flip it up and it works so well this way, I think is such a good approach. The Foamposite one in the Cough Drop colorway, the winner this year of the Foamposite of the Year, fantastically wearable and bold pair. The Nike Air Force 1 collaboration with FC Barcelona and Kobe Bryant, a frequent across this list because it is so bold and works so well. And the Nike GT Future in the Vela Blue colorway, a new release that is so strong on foot, great new design. Foamposite's better watch out. Now, Nike of the Year is obviously going to be a really big category, and we've seen some fantastic drops in this lineup and a lot of shoes that have won plenty of other awards. So there can only be one. It's a big award. Who was my pick for the runner-up Nike of the Year award? The Nike GT Future in the Vela Blue colorway. It is tough releasing new shoes and having new design that is exciting. And once you do, it's hard to make sure that the colorways look really good on them. But this one has been a fantastic drop. It's done everything we like about a good university blue colorway. I've applied that on there so it's both bold and both really wearable. I'm excited to see this, and as I just said before, you've got to watch out for Foamposites. You have a successor coming for you, and I think it's going to be really, really good in the future releases. And it would have been my top pick for the Nike of the Year had it not been for the Nike Air Force 1 collaboration with Little Yachty. As I said, this is a lot of my inspirations to why I became a sneakerhead, and it was a really cool captured time where patent leather was done on pairs, and it really created these real cool pops of color so you could have crazy wild pairs that became statement shoes. And we have kind of moved away from that, going for more cleaner, more neutral tones. So for Nike to try something with the likes of Little Yachty, apply it to this and release it as a pair and see the hype is there, I think is incredibly encouraging that there is still an appetite for these pairs, and that's why I've got to recognize it as the Nike Sneaker of the Year. Moving into one of the most discussed brands on this channel, and that is of course Jordan Brand. They've got to have their own separate category because they have so many of their own great releases. So let's have a look and see what was the Jordan Sneaker of the Year. I'm sure there's going to be some good nominees. Let's have a look at them. The Jordan 3 El Vuelo, a frequent on this list, great treatment, and as I say, capturing that DNA that you'd expect from a custom release. The Jordan 5 Tokyo, one of the best vault pulls that we saw, one of the top best yellow sneakers we've ever seen, an incredibly desirable and hyped pair this year. The Jordan 4 Rare Air, a bit of a slept on pair, but it has OG retro DNA and looks fantastic in the lineup of other black Jordan 4s. The Jordan 1 85 Bread, one of the most talked about pairs this year, obviously very desirable and a fantastic nominee for Jordan of the Year. And the Jordan 1 collaboration with Union LA, capturing that great DNA of the previous collaborations on a very desirable pair, being that it is also based on a Chicago. Right, so those are the nominees for the Jordan Sneaker of the Year, and we think about what the Jordan Sneaker of the Year is. It's got to represent what we love about collecting with Jordans. It's either that storytelling, that nod, or that lore. or overall, it's capturing something that us sneakerheads love to talk about and get involved and invested in. And there's only a few pairs that I think really capture the essence of that for this particular category. So my runner-up pick for Jordan Sneaker of the Year is the Jordan 5 Tokyos. Everything we like about being a sneakerhead is looking on websites and getting excited and planning our future releases. This was an unexpected shock. It was a grail that people were trading enormous amounts of pairs to get, and I think that's exactly what we want to capture in a good Jordan of the Year entry. And it would have been my top pick for Jordan of the Year if it wasn't for this pair here, and that is the Jordan 4 Rare Air. This does so much well, and the craziest part about it is a lot of people failed to recognize how good of a pair this was. It captures all the good parts of an OG retro, having those black hits, those blue hits, the white hits. It's very wearable, it's got great storytelling, it's brought in the tongue tab that kind of creates a collectability piece. So for me, I think this is a fantastic release and is fitting of being the Jordan of the Year. I know it's probably tempting with some of those Jordan 1s to capture some of those, but I don't want every year just to be an acknowledgement of OG retros when we've got other great pairs that have released. And more importantly, I want it to be something that we can look back on this year and go, that was a fantastic release in sneaker times, and even though it was slept on then, it'll be something I think will be recognized in the future. Moving on to our final big category, and this is the Sneaker of the Year. And this might be a bit confusing because some of these shoes have already been up against each other in other categories, but at the end of the day, I want the Sneaker of the Year to capture what was a fantastic sneaker at that time. Something that captures the moment, gives us a reason to be excited as sneakerheads, and possibly future sneakerheads look back to this time and treat that as a bit of a grail. So I'm going to go through the nominees now, and while some of these have gone head to head in other categories, it may not necessarily be the same outcome. So let's look at our nominees and take in mind we're trying to capture a shoe that hopefully people will look back to as a grail from today. The Jordan 3 Aluelo, one of the freshest takes we've seen in recent years on a Jordan 3. The Jordan 5 Tokyo, the retro none of us expected to drop. The Jordan 3 Rare Air, fantastic treatment to the Jordan 3 Upper. The Nike Air Force 1 Low collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway. And the Jordan 11 Rare Air. Great treatment on a pair that we just don't get many releases for. So that's 5 very different sneakers that we've had and talked about. And of course, it can only be one. So my runner-up for Sneaker of the Year for 2025 is the Jordan 11 Rare Air. When I talk about shoes and being a sneakerhead, I think back to the time that when I first got involved in buying new pairs, I looked online and looked at past releases, trying to work out which pair I collect. Do I go back and buy a pair that's secondhand from 6 years ago because I really want that? Will it retro again? Will it fit this particular part of my lineup of my color wheel or collection? That to me is what is exciting about being a sneakerhead and building a collection that takes time, and that's why we have different moments from different years. What I like about the Jordan 11 Rare Air is it's such an iconic moment that we've captured here in 2025. First of all, we don't have many Jordan 11s that have a white upper and a bold color to support it. It's often all white, gray, or black. In this case, to have that royal blue is real contrast. The upper itself not being ballistics mesh and actually being leather is a real switch up, and I absolutely love the subtle detail of adding the Jordan on the little eyelet lace slots. You don't see that in many pairs. The only other time we've really seen that was on a sample for the Gratitudes, and we saw it on the Jubilees. So for me, I think it captures a really iconic snapshot of 2025 history, and if you're a Jordan lover, you are going to look back to this pair and go, I wish they retro that. I do like this pair, it's unique, and I think that's deserving of being a Sneaker of the Year runner-up. My Sneaker of the Year for 2025, and I'm shocked to say it's not a Jordan, it is in fact a Nike Air Force 1 Low, a collaboration with Little Yachty on the Concrete Boys Lucky Green colorway. I did not expect to have this strong of opinion on this, but I really love the vibrancy and the creativity of using the patent leather. As I've said throughout this video, it's such an iconic treatment to Nike SBs and Air Forces from the early 2000s. So to see that slowly bringing itself back in, and fashion does go through these cycles and circles, and sneakerhead culture does go through cycles and circles, it's great to see this as possibly the start of that patent leather wild color treatment coming back to shoes. I really enjoy that. I think they've done a great job on that, and that to me captures a part that I'm nostalgic to as a sneakerhead, and I think will be something that future sneakerheads might be nostalgic to on this particular pair. So that's why I've got this as my pick for Sneaker of the Year. Well, that's that. We've made it to the end of the 2025 Sneaker Awards. Not just this video, but all 4 of the parts. If you haven't seen any of the other parts, please look in the description below. I've got part 1, which we cover off the color awards, part 2 where we look at performance sneakers, and part 3 where we look at Jordan 1 through 14 retro lineup. It's been so much fun sharing this. I know I've had a bit of a break from the channel, but I'm back and I'm looking forward to releasing so many more videos in 2026. There's going to be so many more sneaker review videos that I'm going to do. I'm going to do more 7-day sneaker rotations. I've got a really cool one coming out soon on the OKC Thunder. Brooklyn's now going to have her own segment where we're going to talk about if it's a near miss or near misses and round them up in a monthly cycle. And there's going to be some other creative videos I've got talking about building your sneaker rotation and talking about some of mine and possibly showing some retro pairs and giving some retrospective reviews of releases that I've got. It's going to be a great one, so make sure you're tuned into the channel.